Go live. Let me know. You should be able to see it. We should be live, my friend. Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast.
Be back.
You should be able to see it. We should be live. All right, man. I look like my camera fucked up, though. Can you just see half my face or something?
Yeah, it's like you half on here.
I don't know why it's doing that shit. It's odd. Shit, odd as fuck, dude. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, man, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. We are back in the building to talk some more boxing news.
Hell of a weekend.
Yeah, man, hell of a weekend. I want to talk about several different things. So let's start off recapping the weekend, man, and then we can jump into the latest with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. So, as far as I'm concerned, man, it was everything I hoped for in the weekend, bruh.
Man, perfect.
Yeah. When you think about, so let's start with in chronological order. So let's just start with the fights from the ladies, right? So we started thinking about Alicia Baumgardner against Michaela Mayer. Interesting fight, man. So I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I had never really heard of Baumgardner prior to this fight being announced, and I went and looked at some of her old fights, and bruh, she is fair. She's really good, bro. Like she got that Michigan kind of pedigree, that style. You know what I mean? Yep. Like her style is very slick, a lot of movement, good power, good speed. She needs to tighten up on her defense though. That's the part about that Michigan style that I'm not seeing her really reflect. But man, she did really well against Maela, man. I thought that was an excellent performance from her.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, she was like, she had the disadvantage of the height and the reach, but she looked good. She looked good. I thought she won the fight too. The way I didn't think it was a split, but being where they fought at, I knew it might be some tomfoolery. But it was a good fight. I mean, it was a competitive fight. She didn't just straight run through Mayer, because Mayer did start using her reach, her size, and imposing her will on her. But yeah, I watched her fight maybe 2 or 3 times prior to this. I knew of her a little bit more than you did, and everything. So I mean, but just watching her fight, I like the way women's boxing in general has progressed. It's not like back in the day it was just Christy Martin and maybe a couple other women out there, and they still weren't trained really. They were still, it was like cat fights in a sense. But Ann Wolf, greatest knockout almost of all time. That's why I was hoping Baumgart would get on Mayer, but she got the decision fairly won.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying that she was cheated, and I'm talking about Mayer. She was not cheated. I had that fight. Right. I had that fight 6-4. I had it 3 apiece after 6, and then I thought Baumgardner did enough to get 2 additional rounds. I think she won the 12th round, and I can't remember what other round I thought she won. But I thought she won the first 3 rounds. I gave the next 3 rounds to Mayer, and then I thought Baumgardner had the last round, and I think it might have been like the 9th. I can't remember. But, I thought she did for the number of fights she has. And, I mean, with women's boxing, the number of fights, I guess, don't matter as much because I think Clarissa Shields only had like 13 fights or something like that.
Yeah.
But, man, I thought she was just going to be a pretty face, man, but she can fight. She can fight for sure.
Yeah, I was impressed with her. I mean, like you said, her defense, she needs work on her defense for sure. But her her placement, her footwork was very good out there, leading her ring generalship was good out there. Yeah. Just the fact that I didn't like the way she was just, taking punches. She rolled with a lot of punches, was good, but she ate some straight up as well. So, but I mean,
Yeah,
Mailer is a good fighter as well. You know,
she is.
she seemed tentative. You know, she seemed like she's really afraid of everything that Baumgartner's gonna be coming back on with her. You know, it's
So,
crazy to me that her coach is a former U.S. boxing coach, 96. They said.
oh yeah, yeah. You know what's interesting in this fight, man? It's going to lead into something that we're going to talk about a little bit later, which is the commentary from Tim Bradley. So Tim Bradley made the comment of, you know, when you have a fighter in there that's very slick, a fighter that you know is technically better than you are, then having the ability to just apply that pressure, constantly apply that pressure where they don't have the opportunity to think, you can really you can take away a lot of the advantages of the boxer that's supposedly better and more skilled. So it's obvious, it's interesting rather that he would say that about, you know, Baumgartner versus Meyer, but doesn't see that when you take into consideration Spence versus Crawford. But
And you
we'll
already know
get
the
into
deal
that
with
later.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I
hey,
know.
LT wants to know about, you know, what we thought about the plant fight, which is on the docket as well. You know, we are just talking
Yeah,
about that not too long ago.
yeah. So just from my perspective, from the plant side, so I actually put a video up this week. And guys, sorry, I was extremely busy this weekend or this week with work. So some of the videos that I put up had a little bit of some issues with them. So I took that one down. But the prediction that I made was that I thought that Plant was going to win the fight, and I didn't think he was going to win by knockout. But when
No.
you think about Anthony Durrell, I mean, at 38 years old, I mean, he's just not there anymore. He's past what he was. So I didn't believe that he had any chance to actually win this fight. But knocking him out, that was a
Yeah.
little bit more impressive because I didn't think Plant was going to knock him out. Plant is not known to be a power puncher, so that was impressive as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, I mean he caught Darrell on one of my favorite combo that low to the body and up back up top. That was a perfect. I love practicing that myself, hitting the bags and stuff, and I love seeing fighters do that. But I definitely didn't see Plant knocking him out. I didn't
Yeah,
see it that coming out. I saw him outboxing Darrell the whole fight easily, like he was doing up until around. He knocked him out what around 9 when he knocked Darrell out. I think it was. I think it was around 9. But when he knocked him out, I was just like, damn. You know, that doesn't make me think that Caleb's going to be, you know, some Deontay Wilder type puncher or anything like that. But it was a nice setup. You know, Darryl was past his prime, and he talked a lot of shit to try to get a big fight and get a big payday. I think because he was trying to get his Canelo fight before this fight here. So, but I mean, I don't know if this is going to be the new plan that we're going to see setting up fighters like that. But it's interesting to see that happen. It makes other fighters have to think about that now.
yeah, it's interesting. I don't think this is going to be any. I don't see a different Plant. I think it's the same Plant. He was just in there with a specific type of fighter. He was able to land the shot and get him up out of there. A fighter that's been through, you know, several tough fights in his career. I was I surprised that he knocked him out? Sure. Do I think Plant has developed some type of power now that we're going to see in other fights? Doubt it. It's just my thought
Yeah,
on it.
no, I doubt it. I doubt he not KO power, you know, but the new coach he did help set up some things up for him, you know. Now like healthy time like digging the dirt. And, you know, honestly, I ain't mad at Caleb about that. I mean, I know it's a dangerous sport. I know people say that, you know, they definitely we know they put their lives on the line and everything. He wasn't meant in that malicious way. He was just tired of the shit that Darrell was talking to him. Darrell disrespect that man from day one. Now we both said, you know, we couldn't stand the shit that Plant did against Canelo, talking to him. Hey, I'm pretty good. You don't do that in a fight. No, I'm here to kick your ass. That's point blank. Period. I'm not going to ask you if I'm pretty good, better than what you thought I was going to be. No, I'm here to knock your ass out. So
Yeah.
was it out of bounds a little bit? Yeah, but Anthony he earned that. He earned that shit.
Yeah, I don't mind a fighter talking shit. You know, I actually like shit talking. That I you know, we both from Florida, and you know, Floridians, they
Oh
talk a
man.
lot of shit. So I like the shit talking. I don't like getting in the ring and getting your ass whooped.
Yeah, you got to back it up.
Losing is fine. Even if you talk your shit and you lose, I'm cool with that. But you know, getting destroyed like that ain't where it's
Yeah.
at.
That shit was
So
funny though when
man,
Plant said, he's like, yeah, I just bear up my rival. The fool's fight.
So man, let's
Now,
transition to
oh
Clarissa,
man,
man, Clarissa Shields. So I thought the fight was a little bit more competitive than I thought it was gonna be.
yeah,
To me, it was clear that Clarissa won that fight. I mean, Clarissa, man, if I ain't no better, boy, I think she a dude, man. Like the way she evades shots, man, and how sharp her punches are. I mean, she is just really nice. But I got to give Savannah Marshall credit, man. She hung tough. She took a
yeah,
lot of that shit. Her style is very awkward with her movement and constantly changing positions. And I think in those middle rounds, so I think honestly, I think Clarissa came in and shot her load too fast. And I think she tired out a little bit more than what she would have normally did because they were throwing leather, bruh. Like
yeah,
I was like, man, this is a good fucking fight. And I think Clarissa was a little bit too aggressive at first, throwing too much heat behind her punches, and I think she tired out a little bit in the middle rounds. But ultimately, I mean, it was easy to score that fight. I mean, I heard Tim Bradley talking about she's on the rope and if she lose and all that. Man, fuck that. She was not taking any punishment on the ropes. She was kind of resting while she was doing that. So in my opinion, it was easy to score. She won that fight. What you guys think about that? Or what do you think about that, Jay?
Tim is a pain in the ass with stuff, man. He's a pain in the ass with his commentary. I can't stand this shit. I really do, I really can't stand him for as a commentator for the most part. But yeah, it's a damn good fight. Clarissa, the thing with Clarissa, I think that she lets the people talk to her, get in her head about her not being a knockout power puncher or power puncher, just pity pill fist, and that got to her because she constantly said, "I'm gonna knock her out, knock her out, knock her out. I'm gonna hurt her. I'm gonna take her out." And I think that's why she shot her load. I think she should just kept, do what she does. She's a boxer. If knockout comes, knockout comes. If you go looking for a knockout, usually you get knocked out. So I mean, I think that's why she shot her low because she was just trying to impress the fans and everything of that nature there. But yeah, it was clearly she was won that fight hands down.
Absolutely. So let's transition. I'm going to leave the best fight for last as far as I'm concerned, which is going to be Devin Haney versus Kambosos. So let's talk a little bit about Wilder versus Helenius. I mean, the fight lasted a second, so I mean, I don't know what he knocked his ass out. I can't gauge a lot from Wilder because the fight didn't go long enough for me to gauge anything from Wilder.
8 punches landed total.
Yeah, the punch that Wilder threw wasn't even really a hard shot as far as I'm concerned. He didn't put his whole body into the punch. So the fact that he basically put Helenius into the stars with that one shot, with that short shot, man, was impressive. But outside of that, man, there's really not a whole lot to talk about, man. I can't glean a whole lot from this fight.
Yeah, man, you really can't because I mean, it wasn't a lot to take out of it outside of that one short right he landed on his face. People sometimes say, "Oh, it's fake." I'm like, nah. When you get hit like that, even some of those short punches, some of the hardest punches, the worst punches to take. Because he hit him around the button, and when he hit the ground, look like his head bounced against the ring harder than almost the punch. So I think the combination of the punch and the head bouncing off the ring definitely helped put him out there because you could see it in his face. He was like shook.
Yeah,
He was out of it. So I mean, yeah, man. I mean, I like the fact that Wilder's back. Heavyweight boxing, he's right. Heavyweight boxing is better with Wilder in it because what you're gonna get. You're gonna get somebody get knocked out, at least knocked down. Now, outside of Fury and the one fight with Stavern, he knocked everyone else out. And Stavern, he broke his hand.
Right.
That one. So, I mean, not like he could keep pounding with the right hand on anyway, his moneymaker. But, I mean, it's great to see Wilder back. He seems like he got that fire. I know there's rumors talking about people mentioned like a fourth fight with Fury. I don't see that happening just with all the shit that he's going through. Because it had to be overseas because since Fury can't come to the States at all. So, and I don't even know what that's going to do anymore. Doesn't even seem like there's a market too much for it right now.
Yeah. So, Carlton Reyes does it all. Talk about Wilder versus Joshua. We've talked about that fight. That's the one we want, guys.
That's what we want.
Wilder versus Joshua is the fight that we want. I would pay to see that shit right now. Still, even with those two guys losing because of the styles, the way that the history of it, the styles. I actually think Anthony Joshua is a bit better now under Robert Garcia. I think Wilder is better under the tutelage of Malik Scott.
Yeah,
So I really want to see these guys come together and have that fight. That's the fight that needs to be made in the heavyweight division. I think also Fury versus Usyk, and then I think the winner out of those two fights, those four individuals, they should fight each other. And whether that culminates in Fury versus Wilder 4, I'm good with that because I think Wilder fucked up when he went into the ring with all that extra weight. That was a mistake.
yeah.
That was a
That's
mistake.
why, you know what? That's why I was interested to see how he's going to come on this fight. I want to see more out of this because I think about, Roy gaining all that weight and then losing all that weight, mainly muscle mass. So I want to see how that was going to impact Wilder over a duration of time. Obviously, we only got like 2 minutes and 57 seconds worth of a round or anything. So we don't know what's going to be with Wilder, but I like Wilder at the lighter weight as well. I understand why he gained weight to fight Tyson Fury, to take the leaning of Tyson Fury on him and everything, but yeah, Tyson Wilder being around 215 under 220, I think that's his best weight, and I think he's better at that weight there, But AJ Wilder, like you said, we've been talking about this for a while. Everyone wants to see it. I know they talked about saying it'll be the fight in Africa, is what Wilder had mentioned it a while back. That should have sold out even with the losses. Like Cardinal Red said, it does make it intriguing with them, with the losses they've had, although they've had losses to, AJ's had losses to two different people. Wilder only had lost to Fury, but that'd be an awesome fight. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't know if AJ wants that fire, wants that smoke like that. I don't think he wants it though.
I don't know, man. We'll end up seeing. And then let's transition to that final fight, man. So Devin the Dream Haney versus George Kambosos. Honestly, I thought George Kambosos was going to come with a different game plan. Like I really did. Like I thought. No, he cannot outbox Devin Haney. So that was clear. Completely understand. I did not feel like he was going to try to come in. I thought he was going to try to come in and out rough him up, like out physical him. Like bring a level of physicality that maybe Devin Haney hasn't experienced, and hopefully that would give him an opportunity to have an advantage. And all that trying to turn southpaw shit, that shit, I keep trying to tell people, man, that switch hitting shit, I don't believe in that shit. I don't think it works. I don't think it works with high level fighters. I think a high level fighter is going to understand you from your left or your right, and then I don't think you're efficient enough to fight left or right effectively. Meaning you're not as good with your left as you are with your right, depending on which one is the better one. Like one of them is going to be substantially worse than the other one. So switching back and forth doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, and especially what George Kambosos was doing. He need to go in there and be real physical with Devin, rough him up, get on the inside, push him around, throw his head into his face, all that shit. And all he did was try to outbox him and got his ass whooped again.
Yeah, the thing about it is, I just let you know it's desperation. They had no other plan. They had no other plan for Devin. Okay, let's try going there, just switch hit. He's not a switch hitter, for one. And like you said, that doesn't really necessarily work. It's not many boxers that are able to pull that off anyway. He ain't Bud. And Bud really doesn't switch back and forth during the whole fight. Bud does that when necessary, for the most part. And then he'll stay with that style for the rest of the fight usually. But, no one wanted to see this shit. Everyone knew it was going to be a boxing lesson. It was done before, it was over before it even started. Campbell came out there trying to be tough, and Devin kind of made it a little bit tougher on himself by changing his style a little bit. Trying to beat Campbell at his own style, just try to prove a point. He still did it, but I would prefer him just make it easy on himself a little bit more. Just put that stick in his face the whole fight a little bit more, like he did the first fight. Campbell had no answers for anything. Campbell is what he is. He's not gonna get any better than what he is currently right now. He wanted a payday.
I don't disagree with that. Hold on, I'm responding to Cardinal right now.
So now I was kind of worried. I ain't gonna lie, when I started weighing in, seeing Devin,
he looked. He looked. I went and looked at the first weigh-in too, man. The only difference that I really saw in Devin was his face looked drawn in the second fight.
It did.
His body looked the same, but his face looked a little drawn in. I think it's probably time for him to move up. I think he probably needs to go ahead and make that move.
Yeah.
Staying at that weight, I don't think it's going to be good for Devin. I think he just needs to go ahead and make that move.
Yeah. The thing with Devin that worries me though, I found him always ducking and leaning forward a lot. He does that with a seasoned fighter, such as a fighter like Tank that loves throwing uppercuts. I think Devin can
Right.
get hurt and get taken out like that. And I love Devin. I love Devin as a defensive fighter, but that's the only one of my hangups with Devin. I'm like just seeing him do that too much. He did it constantly. Maybe he's doing it because of this fighter here. Maybe he'll adjust to a different fighter. But just seeing that, it's a bad habit, and it's a bad habit to form, and sometimes it can be a bad habit to break. You know.
Yeah. No,
So,
totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
yeah,
So,
but if he
man,
moves up to 140, where do you see him at 140? Who do you see him, beating at 140 at right now? You think he'll beat Regis?
who? Devin?
Devin
I
or
don't know
Jack
about
Catterall?
that. I don't know about that. I don't know how Devin. My issue with Devin moving up, and the concern that I have with Devin moving up is that, his power isn't going to carry up because he really doesn't have a lot of power at 135 pounds. And then, I don't think Devin is as technical as someone like Mayweather, where the power going up doesn't really matter, right? Or even like Stevenson. I think Stevenson is so technical that, and Devin is technical and he's very skilled, but
Yeah,
man, I kind of think that as he moves up, his ability to outbox some of his opponents might not be as easy to do. And then we get in with somebody like a Regis Prograis who has good power and the ability to box as well. Some of those guys at 140, I just think could give him problems, man. I need to see him in a fight first at 140 before I can really make an assessment.
yeah. I mean, Regis and Jack are the top two. I think give him hell. I think he beats To. Him and Ryan Garcia are 2-2 from the amateurs. I think he beats Ryan Garcia again out there. But Zepeda is going to be an interesting fighter.
I was
Although
watching Zepeda. Yeah,
he's fighting Regis. He's fighting
yeah.
Regis in their next fight. So that's going to be an interesting fight there. But 140 is going to be 140 is going to look nice. It's
It
going to be
is. Once those guys
it's
move
going to be the
up,
next 135. Everyone from
yeah,
135
I
is
agree.
moving up.
I agree. I was
So
looking at Zepeda, man, and he's pretty good, man.
yeah, oh yeah, don't sleep on him.
Yes, I kind of still lean towards Regis. I need to watch it again. I need to watch a little bit more film on Zepeda, but he's good. Power, the ability to adjust, fairly decent boxer. Yeah, he'd be a problem for anybody at that weight.
Yeah. LT was talking about. Yeah, I mean, I know Devin Haney signed that 3-fight deal. Supposed to fight Loma if Loma gets past his sparring partner next weekend. In
Oh,
two
you
weeks
don't
actually.
think so? LT,
So
you don't think Devin Haney can beat Lomo? I think Devin Haney can beat Lomo.
I think he
Absolutely.
beats Lomo. I think he beats Lomo.
I think he's very rangy, and
Yes.
rangy enough to beat Lomo. But he has to be smart because Lomo is a smart fighter. I mean,
Yeah.
I know you hate Lomo, but at the end of the day, Lomo's a smart fighter. He can fight. So,
It's not that I hate. I hate the build up of Loma. The Loma. I hate the
so
fact that he got built up over 10 fights. When they started comparing him, saying he's better than Floyd Mayweather and things of that nature, that shit pissed me off because he hadn't really fought anyone. And then some of the people he were fighting were either too small, wasn't his fault because he didn't want to fight Rigo. He didn't want to fight him, but that was the only
I got,
person that he could fight at the time.
so a couple of names that's been thrown out there, or fights rather. Shakur versus Lomo. I got Shakur. I love
Oh
that
yeah.
kid. I love that
Oh
kid. I think
man.
that kid is the best at that in and around that weight class as far as technical skills. And then Tank and Loma beat Haney. I think Tank does. I think Tank because of the power, and I think Tank is a good boxer as well. I think Tank's ability to box and his slickness is underrated because of his power. I don't think Loma beats Haney. I think Haney can stay on the outside and outbox Lomo, in my opinion.
I think so. I think so too, but he has to be smart. He can't. The thing with Loma, since Loma is such a crafty veteran and he has good foot movement, he can't sleep. He can't fall asleep at the wheel. He
Yeah,
got
no,
to
I
stay
agree
on
with
point.
that.
Rounds 1 through 12. Now if Loma comes out with the same bullshit he did against Tio, Devin gonna be up 7 rounds before Loma starts going. You
Yeah.
know, because against Tio, he didn't do shit until like round 5 and 6, and even
I,
then he was still
I, I,
cautious.
the only thing I'll say about that is it's a different fight because the deterrent against Teofimo
Was a power.
Lopez was the power, right?
Oh,
That was the
definitely.
deterrent. And Haney doesn't have the same level of power, so I don't think he'll be as detoured from trying to get on the inside and get his offense off as he was against Teofimo. So
Yeah. I mean, but that'd be a hell of a fight because Devin's been wanting that fight for years, for like last what 3 4 years. You know,
yeah,
so I mean, and plus Loma is what going to be? It's what 35 now, 34,
I don't know how
35. So
long Lomo
he's
is.
all he's mid 30s, I believe now. So time off, you know, away from the ring. I got to see how he looks, you know, against his sparring, this glorified sparring session he's going to be fighting in 2 weeks. See how
I
he
agree
looks
with
in that,
I agree with you,
you
Jay.
know.
I think Haney's range will be a problem for Lomo as well.
Oh
Totally
yeah,
agree with that.
oh yeah.
Totally agree with that. So man, let's transition to the biggest fight in boxing. You know, you were out, so I dropped several videos on the topic.
My
There's been a
apologies.
lot. Yeah, there's been a lot going on. There's been a lot of feedback on some of the videos we've done over the last couple of weeks. I was really hoping to have some Terence Crawford fans in this live stream because honestly, I really want to debate these cats, man. I really do because some of the logic that they spew in the comment section in the videos really don't make a whole lot of sense in my opinion. But the latest news, man, that's been out there, or I would say rumors. So you saw um, that Andre Ward, the comment that he made about the PBC and Errol Spence being greedy in terms of trying to get everything. There was, I think it was a Fight Hype video, or it was a KO Artist video. I can't remember which one it was, but they were interviewing Virgil Ortiz, and they asked Virgil Ortiz about the potential between or the outcome between Spence versus Crawford. And as a part of that video, the interviewer said, hey, the latest rumor out there is that Terence Crawford is trying to get a little bit more of the gate. And so all of these things are contradictory to what Terence Crawford apparently, supposedly told Blue Blood Sports TV, which was he had agreed to all terms associated with the fight. Not signed the contract, didn't sign the contract for anybody out there that's listening because I don't want it to get misconstrued. But he had agreed to all terms. So if he's agreed to all terms, why is there a rumor out there that he's asking for additional gate? Why is Andre Ward talking in a way that he has insider information where he's saying that these guys want any and everything associated with the fight, so much so that it might blow up the fight? If he's agreed to everything, he wouldn't, there would be no Andre Ward conversation. He would already know, hey, these guys already agreed to everything, so that's it. So a lot of the stuff is not jiving. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was out, so I missed some of the stuff with Spence and Crowder. Some of the new things I did see. I know we talked about a little bit other on that. It's just, man, I'm hurt by that. I'm hurt by it hasn't happened yet. That's my biggest thing right now. Now I'm just want the fight to start to happen. We know it's not happening next month. Probably know it's not happening this year.
Right.
So probably January, February, and then after that, they can't do really much in March. March is not the time, because of March Madness and other things are taking up the time, taking up the bulk of the weekends and everything. So,
But I
January,
told you that. I
shut
told you
up.
this fight was not going to happen until Q1. I told you when they first started talking about, the fight November 19th, I said that doesn't make any fucking sense. 8 weeks out, you still got to promote the fight. It's common sense shit, right?
Yeah,
Like
I said December.
if Mayweather and Pacquiao need time to promote their fight, and these are two of the biggest names in boxing we've ever had, then obviously fucking Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, who honestly are not really known
Household
outside,
names.
by and large, known outside of hardcore boxing fans, then they obviously need to have a press tour. So it didn't make any sense. And I said this on many videos. When you see a situation where you got individuals who have not been able to come to terms, they have not been able to make a fight, they have not been able to sign off on a fight, it's dollars, bruh. It's dollars,
Def-
period.
Someone bitching about something.
Yeah, it's dollars. It's always dollars. Niggas. I said niggas. Excuse me, guys. But niggas are not sitting up there, not making a fight because who walks to the ring first, or who's the marquee person first, or whatever. They are. If both of these fighters were guaranteed $15 million a piece, this fight is done. It would have been announced 3 months ago. The issue is money. And when you think about what Stephen Espinoza said, what was it that he said in that interview with Fight Hype, where when they asked, was this it's going to be one of the biggest welterweight fights in history, and and somebody mentioned something about the pay-per-view, and he was like, well, I judge the quality of the fight, based off of the opponents in the ring and not by the pay-per-view sales. Man, if they knew that they were going to be able to sell pay-per-view sales with this fight, they would have been like, hey man, we are highly confident that we're going to be able to sell pay-per-view and that we'll be able to pay both of these guys greatly as it relates to this fight. We think this fight is going to sell. That's what promoters do. They promote. So if they really are confident that they're going to be able to sell a fight, dude, that's what he would have said. And he didn't say that. So that tells me that there's a concern from Showtime and the PBC that this fight may not sell, and they'll be sitting there holding the bag, and they're not going to do that, right? Because Terence Crawford hasn't shown the ability to put cheeks in seats, and even though Errol Spence has been able to sell 350,000 pay-per-view buys, if Terence Crawford is asking for like a guarantee of $6 million, I can tell you right there, that's a non-starter. Just based off of just high-level numbers, that's a non-starter. It's not going to work.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, what Deion say, it must be the money. It's all about the money on that. I mean, but to Jay's point, I mean, what sucks is the longer this fight takes to be made, the more it holds up the welterweight division. We had talked about a while back. We want to see Boots fight everyone as well, because we see Boots as being that next one up, right below Spence and Bud. So I mean, the Boots, the St. Jonases, the Ortiz, even the old ass Thurman, even Ugas still got some fight in them. So I mean, I want to see some of them fight as well. Because we had talked about fantasy matchups, so maybe Boots and the Ortiz, or Boots and the Thurman, Boots and the Ugas, because we want to see where Boots stands as well. So I mean, they need to hurry up and get this fight done, so then all the other chips can fall. So I mean, we need to check to see when PBC usually announces their lineups, for fights. So that might give us an insight on as far as the other guys in our welterweight division under PBC banner will be fighting maybe each other, hopefully. Since they can't fight for a title right now. I mean, if I'm Boots, I'm gonna fight Stan Jonas. I'm gonna fight Ortiz. I'm gonna fight any of those guys right now, because fighting a bunch of no names ain't gonna help him. He needs to keep building his brand, building his name, because he has the skills.
No, I agree with that. Cardinal said, yeah, it just doesn't make sense. The only thing, and this is the thing that like pisses me off sometimes about boxing fans, is that they get upset if you have the ability to think on your own and connect dots on your own. And when I say boxing fan, I'm talking about fans that maybe you're saying something opposite of their favorite fighter. Because none of this makes sense. And when you connect the dots, so you think about it, the only thing that really made sense so far when you connect all the dots is what Copinger said, which was that Terence Crawford wants the ability to control expenses. Because that would make sense to me. If he's saying, okay, I've agreed to the dollar amount, but I also want to be able to control the expenses, that would be something that could possibly make sense as to why the fight is being held up. But anything outside of that, I mean, it just doesn't. It's not clicking for me when you take all the pieces and put them all together. It's just not clicking for me. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I'm getting to the point, man, where I'm like 50-50 on this fight, that this fight is actually gonna happen.
Yeah,
like, seriously. And I've been talking about this for a while. I was saying, hey, I'm losing confidence.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I'm still confident, brother. I'm still confident. I'm like, I'm losing confidence in this fight.
I let the side of me, the boxing fan of me, get the best of me versus regular logic, because I want to see this fight that bad. Everyone wants to see this fight that bad because we know it's going to be one of the best fights of the year. well, next year, because it ain't happening this year.
Exactly.
So I mean, we want to see that. So that's why I mean I know Spence wants this fight more than anything because he's been saying since day one. Spence put the map out to what he was going to do. You know, he said he's going to get all the belts on his side, then take Terence Crawford shit too, because he wants to be undisputed at welterweight before he move up. I don't think Spence is going to budge from that. But however, I think Bud may budge, but may move up from that because he's the one that's been implicating talking about fighting other fighters. Like Mel moving up to fight Mel and shit like that. But man, we need to hear something with next month. Because we're going about 8 weeks. You need to know something next month.
What do you think about? I'm just curious. Sorry to cut you off, but what do you think about Gary Russell Jr. And what he said about Errol Spence walking him down like Jason, dropping them dumbbells on his ass? Hey, every time I hear Gary Russell speak, and there's a lot of shit that I don't agree with when Gary Russell speaks. It's just but it's funny as hell, man. And I was sitting there thinking like, boy, Errol Spence is like fucking Jason, dog. Like literally, you seen those fucking Jason movies? That motherfucker. You see the woman or the man, they're running their ass off, and Jason is just fucking walking. And before you know it, he done walked their ass down. No matter how fast they running, it doesn't matter. You're not gonna get away from Jason. And that's a perfect description of Errol Spence, man. Motherfuckers like the Jason Voorhees of the welterweight division, man. Shit crazy. What are your thoughts on that?
I like it. I definitely like it because, it's like you hear the noise when in a Spence fight. You hear that noise like he's coming for you. He's round. The more he put that body work in, you see it. You see the body just wilting of his opponent. So I mean, that's a perfect description of Spence. I mean, it's even funny because we know Gary don't like Bud at all. He can't stand Bud.
Nope.
So I mean, it's funny to watch him talk. He's a good shit talker. I give him that.
Right.
But yeah, perfect description of the Spence style. He stalks the shit out you.
No, I totally agree with that, man. Totally agree with that. It's like clear people when you get started. Yeah, Carl. Exactly. That's absolutely Spence in a nutshell. And now I want to go back to the comment that I made earlier in the stream with Tim Bradley, right? So Tim Bradley
That's
during
your
the stream.
blood, man.
I don't know if you guys caught this, but Tim Bradley during the stream of the Meyer Baumgardner fight mentioned that when you have a fighter in front of you who is very technical, they're slick, they have a lot of movement. Applying pressure can negate a lot of those advantages from a fighter. And it's interesting that he's saying that in regards to Baumgardner versus Mayer, but he cannot apply that same logic to Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. What fucking sense does that make? Because we've been saying the same thing the whole time. Like, when you got a guy that's not giving you the opportunity to think, and I said this in the breakdown video that we did, Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford, the film study. What's gonna be very important for Errol Spence is the distance that he fights, right? He got to fight at a certain distance. Terence Crawford has really, really good range for his height. So I think Errol Spence, he needs to be way outside or inside of Terence Crawford. I haven't seen Terence Crawford really display a really good inside game. And I think once you get inside him, it takes away the ability to counterpunch, and it takes power out of his shots. So Errol Spence getting in there, man, and just constantly applying that pressure as long as the pressure is smart. As long as he's smart with the pressure, which Errol Spence has always demonstrated that he's very smart with his pressure. For a guy that's so offensive, he doesn't get hit a whole lot. So I thought it was. I just think what Tim Bradley is saying in regards to how the fight would play out with in one fight, but not applying that same logic to another fight, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
It makes sense because he got to stay. He got to keep his side of the story. He got to stay on his Bud fan. He's a Bud fan,
right?
Even though Bud's not with Tom Rick no more, but that was his guy, so he's just riding that wave. He ain't got nothing else to do, nothing else better to do. You know, like Gary Russell said, you know, the thing with Bud is irresponsible on defense with his defense, and that's
I think that's a step too far though. Irresponsible.
He's not horrible, but he gets hit way too much than what he should. You know, especially like, as we talked on previous videos, he's gotten older. He's more stationary now. You know, you don't want to be no stationary target with Spence. You don't want to sit there and just be pissing blood. You don't want to do that. That's not something you want to do. So I mean, he's not. Maybe that was a too strong of a description, but he's definitely gotten hit a lot more than in his older years than he did early on. You know.
Yeah, I agree. I think the foot movement is gone too, though. I think part of his defense was his foot movement. And in the film study, I also broke down. You see how, like, sometimes Terence Crawford will counter to the body, and the way that he counters to the body, he leaves his chin wide open.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't been clipped, like really clipped, doing that shit. And I don't want to sound negative about Terence Crawford because Terence Crawford.
Thurman syndrome.
Oh yeah. Terence Crawford is a really good fighter, and the thing that I'm concerned about most with Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence is Terence Crawford's ability to counter. Like, I think Terence that's his major weapon. Everybody keeps talking about he's a switch hitter. He brings so much more to the ring. Oh, that's bullshit. What Terence Crawford is an excellent counter puncher. That's what he is. And so that is the challenge that is before Errol Spence. And if he can negate that challenge, I think he wins that fight. I think switching back and forth does not fucking matter. I really don't.
Not in this fight here, not at all. Now, what will matter is Spence get the right damn mouthpiece. He get the right mouthpiece, then he'll be okay.
Well, come on. So in Errol's defense, he probably has his grill is new, right? His grill is going to be different than what it was before. So I don't know if it's a situation where he's using an old mouth guard that's molded for his old teeth, or I don't know what the. I don't know.
He did that against Danny too, didn't he?
Huh?
He did that against Danny like he did against Ugas too, didn't he? Mouthpiece came out. He started looking for
it. Yeah, he did. I don't know what the fuck going on with Errol Spence. He got to stop doing that shit.
Nah, Spence, my boy. Though. I mean, outside of just simple shit, Spence stays locked in. I don't see Terence beating Spence. Honestly, I mean he can, but I still don't see it happening. You know, I just not the type of pressure that Spence puts on, and he's fundamental. He's the Tim Duncan of boxing. Called it since day one about him. He just does that. He's just fundamentally sound. It's hard to beat someone like that.
He's fundamentally sound, but the thing about Spence, man, is that what he does is not flashy. Spence, and this is just watching film on Spence. Spence is very good at using angles. Spence is very good at changing up his game plan. But what Spence does that changes a fight is very subtle. What he was doing against God, what's my boy name?
Your boy, right, the special one.
Yeah, the special one, Kell Brook. What he did against Kell Brook, man, because Kell Brook was counting the shit out of his ass over that jab, man, constantly. And Errol started changing levels on him, man, in order to negate that. It's real subtle stuff, but if you're not really paying attention, man, and breaking down the fight, you don't really see what the guy's doing. He did the same thing with Mikey, man. You don't get to the Olympics, bruh. You don't get to the Olympics without being an excellent boxer. And so the fact that people want to negate that and take that away from Errol Spence to try to make him seem like he's just a banger, you're not just like he fucking Antonio Margarito or something. Errol Spence be beating the shit out of dudes and come out of the fight with his face looking damn near the same as when he went in the fight. That's skill. That's skill, bruh. Period.
Yeah, watching Errol fight, man. Every time he goes does that body work, man, I grab my side of my stomach because that shit be hurting me every time he be landing them blows. You know that shit, that body work, he's relentless with it. He breaking the body down. You know, Pops taught me a long time ago when he was a trainer. He boxed in the military about killing the body, just killing the body. Everything else will fold. And that's what
Hey,
Spence. I love fundamental boxers.
same here. You see what Cardinal asked? What's our opinion on how Crawford navigates his career after a loss or two versus Spence? Man, if Terence Crawford loses the first fight to Errol Spence, my guess is what did they say was in the contract, the rematch clause? The the winner has the
Yeah.
ability. The winner takes all, right? So there's a rematch clause. So he would fight. He would end up fighting Errol Spence in a rematch where Errol Spence again will be the A side and get everything. If he loses again, I don't. He'll be what is he now? 35.
Yeah, he's 35 now. So I mean, he loses if he don't sign a 2-fight deal right now. If he loses the Errol, I don't think. I think he's done. I think he's just gonna be
I that's
trying
kind
to
of what I
be
was
be a
thinking too.
trainer. He's gonna be like kind of like a trainer for what's the young cat that was talking shit about Spence Davis, Keyshawn Davis.
Yeah,
He's gonna
yeah.
be kind of be like a mentor to him, be a mentor to Shakur, be a mentor to Devin since he's cool with all those younger cats. Because at
So
35, he don't if he gets beat by Spence one or two times, he's not gonna want to fight Boots. He don't want
I'm gonna
those
tell
problems,
I'm gonna tell
man.
you what
Because
his only option is in my mind.
he'll fight Thurman.
That's where I was going. Thurman would be the only option, right? Because if he loses to Spence, all that shit about going up and fighting Mel, that's over with, right? That's over with. That's done. And he's not a type, he's not an individual man that's it's hard for him to make the weight. So I can't see him actually just moving up to 154 if he loses to Spence.
Yeah,
Um, if he stays and fights again, the only other reasonable fight that makes sense is going to be Thurman. Otherwise, he's going to be pushed in with the young lions, which doesn't make any sense. So then it's either Thurman or retire. That's how I see it.
yeah, yeah. I don't see him moving up. I don't see him moving up the fight, Mel, because I don't. For one, he's not gonna really cash out against her because he's not gonna bring enough value to that fight against Mel with the loss of Spence. Also, I think Mel will put Bud out of there. I really think that.
The thing
That
about Mel, and you guys, and I've said this on many occasions, this is my opinion. Mel got all the skill and athletic ability. He doesn't have the ring IQ. And sometimes he makes fights harder than what they should be, in my opinion. But
yeah,
one
he
thing
does.
that we've found with Jermell Charlo is that at some point that motherfucker gonna land. And when he lands, I don't think Terence Crawford gonna be able to take it.
And
And I think
and
he'll
he
get him
don't
up out of
like
there.
you. And he
Right.
don't like Bud. He tried. He got Napoleon complex, man. Being the younger brother of the twins,
Yeah.
he wants to put you the fuck out of there. So I don't think, but I don't think that'd be good for Bud to move at 154. It sounds good. It's admirable, to try to be undisputed at 3 weight classes, hands down. He beat Spence. Hey, go for it, man. I'm all for it. But at 35, I don't. He doesn't have much left in his tank as far as boxing goes. I don't think.
I agree. So, man, I want to turn it over to the people in the chat, man. Honestly, I want to open it up for maybe this last 10 to 12 minutes. What questions you guys have for us? What are your thoughts about what's going on in the world of boxing today? Love to hear from you guys and answer questions in regards to what you guys see from a boxing perspective.
Yeah, it
Spence
looks like
versus Canelo.
yeah,
So that's the first one. Man, that's tough. I think Canelo would be too much for Spence. And the only
at
reason
what
I say
weight?
that is at 168. I think
Yeah,
he's too much. And the only reason I say I think he's too much is because Spence's style with that walk him down, and even with the great defense that he has, the boxing ability that he has, his style, I think, does not lend itself well to a fighter that's bigger than 160. I think Spence can go up to 154 and still be just as dominant at 147. I think once you start to get up in weight and you start fighting some of those guys where your power is not as effective, they're bigger guys, so maybe they can push you back a little bit instead of you having the ability to walk them down and put those body shots to them. And Spence does have the ability to box. I'm not going to say that he wouldn't have the opportunity to be successful there. He may show a level of his game that I haven't seen before. But I think at that particular weight, with the size and just the weight advantage and stuff like that, I think I would lean towards Canelo in that fight just because of that. Now, if you ask me who would win at 160 or below, Spence I think that's a 50-50 fight.
Yeah, I mean, at 168, my only concern would be the weight. Seeing how Spence deals with a bigger size opponent of that size. At 160, I got Spence over Canelo easy. At 168, to me, that's closer to 50-50. Just because we see Canelo gas out. He didn't look the best against Lil G the last fight. And what's going to have to cause him to gas out even faster? The body work.
Yeah, that's
Spence.
Fair. That's fair.
You know, so I mean,
I just don't. Canelo?
He's like 5'9", 5'9", 5'8". They might be about the same height. You know, now mind you, if Canelo's on that Mexican beef, Spence is gonna get his ass whipped. he on that Mexican beef, he gonna get his ass whipped.
He all right. Well, he on that Mexican beef. Hey, listen, and by Mexican beef, all we're saying is that he eats Mexican beef. We're not trying to imply anything else on the Angry Pan podcast. We don't need any lawsuits. All we saying is he eat Mexican beef. That's been proven.
You know, but I mean, I like the fact. I mean, the way Canelo looked against Lil G, as I call him, from the last fight. Canelo in general, he's always gassed out in a lot of fights. Yeah. And I just see he's never fought someone bring that body work like Spence. Never. No one's going to his body except for who went to his body a lot and slowed his ass down. Floyd. Floyd did a lot of other shit. Don't get me wrong. Floyd did a lot of shit too, and Floyd's a whole nother level. But that body work's going to slow Canelo down even more. You know, and I could see Spence taking him out at 160, 154, 168. That'd be a closer fight for Spence than any other weight classes against Canelo.
I agree with that. I mean, you make some interesting points. I still lean Canelo at anything above 160. I think Spence has a chance below 160. So what do you guys think about Crawford fans saying Showtime is broke? So great question, man. I'm glad you asked that. So Showtime is owned by CBS, which name has been changed now. I can't remember exactly what the name is, but I looked this up. So that company revenue on an annual basis is $26 billion, which means if they want to make that fight with Showtime being a subsidiary of this particular entity, they can make that fight easily. What Adrien Broner may be thinking is each one of these entities, they have a budget, right? I mean, that's with anything, whether it's a business, whether it's a network, you have a budget. And Showtime Sports has a budget, probably for boxing, to make fights. So if you've gotten to a point where you're either exhausting your budget or you feel like this fight would exhaust my budget, where I would not be able to recoup the money from it, and wouldn't therefore be able to make other fights, that would be an issue. Now, the other thing that Adrien Broner could be thinking is, or could be saying, is that Showtime is about to pull a HBO and they're about to get out of the business of boxing. And I understand that could be the case because honestly, and I've said this in the past, there's been so many fighters that have probably been making money. You remember when Al Heyman got that $500 million deal? I think they've blown through all that shit in a few years.
Ishe Smith.
Were making... Yeah, exactly. Where Ishe Smith is making $1 million. I mean, get the fuck out of here. So the fighters were making way more money than what they should have been making. And probably the profit margins as it relates to each one of the networks are not profit margins that are worth being in the business of boxing. And so maybe Showtime is thinking about exiting boxing. That could be true. Any other things could be true. But the whole notion that to make this one fight, that they wouldn't be able to pay these fighters if they thought that they would make the money on this fight when the parent company makes $26 billion makes no fucking sense at all.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just hard for me to even go deep into that. Like, that's why I let you do it, because it's AB talking. AB annoys the hell out of me, man. Because I was one of the ones that saw some potential in him. I saw more potential in him than he saw in himself. You know, I saw him being not a great fighter, you know, a good fighter. But, you know, we went through this before. His best win was against what? Polymyalgia? That's your claim to fame? You know, I'm just I'm just tired of AB. If AB had fought his last fight against Omar Figueroa, would we be hearing this from him now?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is it salty? Is he salty that he hasn't had a lot of fights?
He claims he loves Stephen Espinoza and the whole team over there at Showtime.
He says that all the time. They hear say "fuck Floyd," and then Floyd's my brother.
That's true.
So I mean, I look at the source where it's coming from. I think might be some truth to it, but like you said, it's how they're budgeting in boxing and whatnot. But it's like as someone said, like they might not have the money for him, and rightfully so. I'm like, AB, you've been doing a whole bunch of foul shit for years, bro. Just stop, man. I'm just tired of AB. I just want him to get his life together, and go back to bowling or some shit. Just don't box no more, AB. Stop it. Stop commenting about boxing in general, bro. Just get your life together, dude.
Yo, Cardinal make a great point because it's both Showtime and Fox vying for the opportunity to be the distributor, the distributor of choice for this fight. So you will basically be saying that both these channels are broke. At the end of the day, hold up.
Not that Kanye Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah, exactly. So both of these channels, they're not. The fight doesn't fucking make financial sense, probably based off of what Terence Crawford is asking for financially. Terence Crawford has come from a model of Top Rank where he didn't have to take any risk. He was paid a guaranteed amount. Bob Arum took all the risk, and when the pay-per-views did not add up and Bob Arum took the loss, essentially Arum was subsidizing Terence Crawford. So now Arum was part of the problem with Terence Crawford because he was overpaying him. Similarly, PBC was part of the problem because they were overpaying some of those fighters. So now he's coming into this model, the new model of the PBC, which is I'm going to give you $1 million guaranteed and you're going to actually have to earn these dollars. And Terence Crawford is not used to that because he's used to, hey, no. You just give me a lump sum and you take the risk. And they're saying you ain't worth the lump sum because you don't make them. How the fuck did Al Heyman them offer all this fucking money to Canelo Alvarez, $100 million to fight?
But now they broke.
Errol Spence, but now they broke as fuck.
And you're going to get a return on investment.
What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. They're not offering him that money because he can't generate. They were going to make the money off of Canelo Alvarez. They're not going to make the money off Terence Crawford.
Terence Crawford ain't got Omaha on his back. He can't even sell his shit at home. So I mean, as good as he is, it's simple. It's about math. It's about money. Point blank. Period. But AB on that bullshit. He on that bullshit. Yeah, about bullshit. That's what AB stands for. About bullshit.
Man, listen, I love.
That's your boy too.
I'm trying to get the AM Sports Media merch in the screenshot. I can't get my camera. I thought I'd just go ahead and show that. Nah, man. I mean, AB. There could be some truth to what AB's saying, man. I don't know. There could be some truth to what he's saying. But it really all depends on what it could mean, right? It could mean several different things, and I think that's the thing that people don't quite understand, because the likelihood that these two entities are broke, that shit is, I don't believe that shit at all.
Yeah, I don't believe they're broke at all. I just think like Luke talked about earlier, it's about, the return on investment. Not AB, but he's not worth it in the long run. Are they going to be able to get their money back? For a fight of this magnitude, as far as the skill versus skill, they should definitely get paid millions, easily, multi-millions.
So
huge money.
What is the real deal talking about? So he's saying, I don't know if you saw that. I'll be honest. I guess Al Heyman doesn't tell the truth to Errol, and Errol knows that and can't do anything about it. They do not have the money to do this, and are waiting on, I guess he's saying on funding, or for funding, from other things. That doesn't make any sense. Real deal. That doesn't make any sense. An entity like the PBC can get fronted money to do something like this. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If they can show the revenue that they're going to be able to make from this fight, considering the fact that they've been in this business for so long, they can get sourcing to actually make this fight. It doesn't make sense. All they really need to have up front is the money associated with promoting the fight. That's it. That's all they need. They don't need money to actually pay these guys. They don't get paid right off the rip. They don't get guaranteed money like the money is handed to them before they actually fight. They get paid on the night after the fight. That's how it works, guys.
Yeah.
That's why Floyd showed the $100 million check after the Manny Pacquiao fight. He didn't show the $100 million fight before, or the $100 million check before.
I put it to you like this: if they're broke, and everything, and and Tank is still under the PBC, Mayweather, TMT ban, or whatever you want to call it, if he's still with them, watch him get this fight in December against Ryan Garcia and watch how much money that generates. But how much they pay them. That's going to let you know they have money. They just got to make sure it's worth the investment, return on investment. We know right. Ryan versus Tank is going to sell. Why? Because everyone knows both of them pretty much. Ryan is a big social media influencer. Tank is a name brand for everywhere because of what he does in the ring. So that they know they're going to get their money back. They know that shit's going to sell out. Tank just broke a record. His last fight was against Rolly when he in New York, I believe, when they broke a record over there for attendance. So I mean, they're gonna get the return on investment. That's what makes sense. Bud doesn't have a whole country behind him or social media following behind him. He barely even has Omaha behind him. So it's not gonna happen. It doesn't make sense to front a lot of money up for this fight here because this fight does not actually sell itself. They have to market this fight to help make it sell the millions that it should get.
I totally agree with that. I just don't see this fight. I see it like I ran through the numbers, man. I did it very high level, and this is just research that I've done. At 300,000 pay-per-view buys, you can't. You're not going to have a large guarantee. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And I think this fight could possibly do no more than I think the PBC is probably looking at this fight similar to Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia. It's probably going to do 300. I don't think they see it as being that much bigger than that fight. I really don't. I don't think they
How much did Errol and Porter do? It was less than Mikey, right?
300.
Yeah, they probably looking at it a little bit around that or a little bit less because Earl, that was in Texas. They're both Texans. And, Mikey has the Mexican following.
Yeah, but I'm saying that this is the biggest fight in boxing. So even though they don't have the Mexican following in terms of Terence Crawford, I think because it's so much bigger, I think that they feel like it could probably be on par with that, maybe a little bit more. I can see the fight. I can see them envisioning the fight doing 350, maybe 4. But this fight ain't doing 5, 6, 7, 800,000 pay-per-view buys. I mean, if they thought that this fight was going to do that kind of numbers, this fight would be made.
Should have been made. I guarantee you, watch in the next couple of weeks, we're going to see the Ryan Tank fight made.
I hope so. That's another fight, man. I can't wait to see. Were you on the video? I think I did that video solo too, man. Just because if you guys don't know, man, Jason was out of town, man, celebrating his anniversary, man. It was so fat. Nah, I'm just playing. And so I was doing the videos this past week. And so I think I did a video on that, and I think it was Haney's dad, man, Bill Haney, and he sees the fight to be a lot closer, and I do too now, man. I thought, and I know you don't feel the same way about this. This is where you guys are going to see the opportunity for us to not be aligned. I felt like Rolly gave Tank more problems than what he should have, and I think it had to do with just being rangy and having power. And I think Ryan is rangy enough and has enough power to also give Tank problems. So I don't think it's going to be a fight where Tank blows through him like I originally thought. I still think Tank wins, but I think this is going to be a close fight.
One, Rolly didn't really give Tank a lot of problems. Tank carried the fight and Tank took his time. Rolly wasn't doing nothing special. That's your boy. You love Rolly and everything. Rolly knocks out everyone in your eyes and everything. Tank got lucky with a lucky punch.
Say that again?
But I mean,
what? Stop.
Now I agree with you with Ryan giving Tank problems because of his size, his length and height. And that. But I think Tank has gotten to the point now where he can take his time. He's seeing stuff better. It still bothered me against the fight against Barrios where Tank was having to listen to Floyd to see it. Against Rolly, he took his time. You could see him. He was calculating everything. He was taking his time. He was reading it. And just relaxed in that fight. Now against Ryan Garcia, man, I don't really think Ryan is just a slightly above average fighter to me. You know, he has speed, he has some power, but looking at his resume, who he's fought, and the fact that he got dropped by Luke, Tank tucks his cheek, touches him with those gloves, he's going out. It's going to be like what happened to Robert Helenius.
Yeah. Hey, I wanna comment on what Fat Cat just said. Fat Cat shadow boxing. I want to read this. As many concerts, boxing events, etc., as Al Heyman knows his margins. The fight is not as big as we think it is to non-boxing fans. EJ gonna put him in the dirt within 6 rounds. Fat Cat, I've been saying the same shit.
How long have you been saying that?
The fight is not as big as people think that it is. The hardcore boxing fans think this is huge. By and large, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence are not that well known outside of hardcore boxing fans. That is exactly right, Fat Cat. I wish I could just give you a thumbs up on here somehow. I don't even know how to do it. That is exactly fucking right.
Put his ass in the dirt.
I don't know about putting him in the dirt in 6 rounds, but I think the back half of the fight is going to be Errol Spence fight for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's going to be
That's exactly right. And I don't get that shit. Like, all these fucking promoters know their margins, man. Like, listen, I'm not in boxing at all, but I do work in finance. I know fucking numbers. I know money. So just off the top, you know, like, these guys are not getting, because you know how business works. These guys are not getting the level of profit margin that they expect they would get off this fight. These guys are going to know their profit margin. If I go into a business right now, and I work in manufacturing finance. If I were to go into a manufacturer right now, I know what their margins should look like without ever actually seeing their business. Al Heyman knows his margins like the back of his fucking hands. Period. This fight is not as big. Stephen Espinoza would have said this fight was much bigger than that when he had the opportunity, when they asked him about the pay-per-view buys. The reason why he didn't say anything about it because he knows the fight is not as big as what a lot of people think. Period. End of story. The money's not there for the fight, and it doesn't have anything to do with PBC, Showtime, Fox, whoever being broke. It's because fighters are thinking they're going to get way more money off a fight that just doesn't generate that level of income. Period.
Yeah, it's real simple. Think about what Floyd would say. Floyd's like, why are you not fighting? People say, well, you don't fight a lot of black fighters. He's like, I do, but he's like, why would I not fight Canelo? He got a whole fucking country behind him.
Absolutely.
You know, this fight here, if Bud was more marketable, this has nothing to do with Bud's skill. So let's get that out the way. People try to say, oh, y'all hate on Bud. No, it's just point blank. It's facts. Bud doesn't sell. He doesn't have a following.
No, he doesn't.
Peyton Manning did more for the city of Omaha than Bud did. And he's not from Omaha. Just by saying Omaha for audibly. So stop the bullshit. You know, it's all about the following. You know, skill-wise, yeah, this is a top-tier fight. For us boxing fans, this is one of the best fights in a long time for us. So we know it's a mega fight. Absolutely. Just not a mega fight when it comes to sales and comes to the money aspect of it.
Totally agree. So, man, we've gone for 1 hour and 8 minutes now, man. I think we can go ahead and call it a day for this live stream. Hey, you guys tell us, man. We had been doing live streams. We stopped for a while, got really busy. We've been thinking about starting back up live streams once or twice a week. You guys tell us, you guys are going to determine whether or not we do the live stream. So if you are interested in us coming back and doing a live stream once a week, once every 2 weeks, we're going to do a poll. In that poll, we're going to say how many times a week and what time would you like for us to do live streams. And at that point, we're going to come back and we're going to tally everything up and we're going to start doing live streams again if that's what you guys are calling for. So let us know. We appreciate you guys coming and checking out what we're doing here and what we're talking about. Jason, anything else you want to add?
Without them, you know, they help us go. You know, y'all opinions, y'all everything, y'all help us go. So we appreciate all the feedback. And
one other thing, and I see a couple of other questions in the comment section, so I'm gonna answer those questions before we go as well. But one of the other things I want to say is that, and I've seen people make these kind of comments in some of the comment sections, we don't make a dime off YouTube. Not one singular dime. We are in the partnership program. We don't monetize anything. We actually do this because we enjoy boxing. We enjoy the community of boxing. We enjoy talking about boxing. We enjoy talking about sports in general. So we don't get paid to do anything. We're not coming on here asking for money or anything like that. We just like to come on here and engage with other passionate boxing fans. So let's see. 2 questions. Does Spence throw a lot of punches? Do you see Errol landing at least 25% of those punches? Absolutely. Blessed to fish. I absolutely believe that. Errol Spence throws, I wouldn't say a lot of punches. He's not like an Antonio Margarito. I think he's more intelligent with the way that he applies pressure, but he throws absolutely enough punches to get the job done. And he will absolutely land at least 25% of his punches on Terence Crawford. No doubt about it.
Definitely.
All right. A lot of the Mexican fans will not buy the Buddy EJ fight. The real ones. Good job. All right. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys, man. We're going to call it a day. We're going to put the poll up after the stream. And we'll be catching up with y'all, man. Y'all be seeing more content this week. Till next time, guys. Angry Man Podcast and Sports Media. Peace.
Later.